creating a new course, developing curriculum. For those in academia, you know how difficult it is. In South Africa, especially also where the government actually has to approve a curriculum before you can start teaching it. There's a lot of steps and everything. But I go ahead and do it. Where is the time? I think we'll talk about that as we go on. Now, I would like to go to the next one, which is the transformation capability. So now you know how to sense opportunities, you know how to seize opportunities, but the transformation capability is really critical because this is where you as a person, as an organization, have to think about how, you transform yourself from, where you are yesterday to the person that you should be in 5 years. One of the things I like to do is to say, okay, where do I want to see myself in, let's say 2 or 3 years time? And I'm like, okay, what do I need to get there? What courses do I need to do? What books do I need to read? What other things do I need to do to make sure that I'm ready for that next opportunity? So first of all, you must be a flexible person, always ready to learn new skills. That's something I like to do. When I started lecturing, I'm like, okay, you have to learn how to develop curriculum. You need to be able to do teaching aids. You need to be able to do all sorts of interesting things. I learned. I learned from the best. I talk to people who have done it for a long time, read books, get mentored, do all those things. So that, and I'm telling you, the first time I lectured, imagine first time you're lecturing as postgraduate school students, and after the whole class, people will be clapping. I'm like, oh wow, great, I can actually do this. It's because there was a preparation and there's a flexibility. I said I would not tell myself that, oh, this is just who I am. No, I can be flexible enough to do other things, and that's one thing I want to please tell people today. Your first degree is supposed to be the degree that actually prepares you for a lifelong of greatness. It's not like the fact that you did electrical electronics doesn't mean you will not be an accountant or you will not be a leadership expert or whatever. In fact, left to me, I will actually rethink education. That apart from courses like medicine and maybe law and pharmacy, that most other courses should actually be, people should just be taught certain things for 2 years. Critical thinking, analytics, how to present, project management, and a few other things that are very foundational that people don't learn in universities now, and they learn when they get to work and it's too late. Those are things that maybe some parents actually help their kids to learn at home without knowing. And that's what stands them apart in the workplace. But if you can actually formalize it and teach people how to think, how to do things, how to be a complex thinker, how to be a systems thinker, those are things that I like to really talk about, because these are foundational things that whatever you then want to learn, you can build on that and learn other things. I do so many things that, but I pick it up quickly because there's a foundational thing that I've wrapped my head around, that if I know how to do certain things, I can build on almost anything. Apart from surgery, I won't be able to touch. It's not even my passion, and I don't understand it. But if you want to talk about so many other things in this world, give me a few maybe days. I'll come back and we'll have that discussion, and I will also do it. So what am I saying? Don't be flexible. Don't say, oh, that's not my field, I don't want to touch that. No, if it's something that would improve you, go ahead and learn it. There are some companies that have perfected these things. A company like Google, for instance, when they recruit people, they don't recruit them for the job that they are giving them at the moment. They recruit them for the future. They want to see how you are. Because the idea is this: there are many products that Google has tried to build that failed. Imagine if they recruited you to those failed products and then the product fails, then you lose your job. But no, the way they recruit is such that the product fails because you are good, because they know you are a good person, you actually know what you are doing. They easily move you to another product that maybe is doing well, and you continue your career. And that's why I'm very afraid for people who are like one way. They only do one thing, and if that thing fails, they're in trouble. Rather have the kind of background and the foundation that is really solid in such a way that you are able to pivot and do other things as time goes on. Second thing is always ready to evolve their career and pivot when necessary. I think I just mentioned that. If you enjoy, like what I enjoy doing is actually creating things, solving problems, but it doesn't matter where it is. If it is in health, if it is in agriculture, if it's in education, if it's in telecoms, wherever it is, I just want to solve problems. And I also I'm a leadership person. I love leadership. And my biggest example of leadership comes from Jesus Christ, and then Moses, and then Joshua, and also I feel many people in the Bible that I actually follow, but Jesus, Moses, Joshua, those are people that I really follow. And in project management, I also follow people like Nehemiah, reading about how these things happened in the Bible always gives me goosebumps. Without reading other books, the Bible, if you read it in certain ways, you find that you can learn a lot from the life of Jesus, for instance, as a leader, how it gives his life to his team. And that's the person I am. If I'm leading a team, the reason why most of my project, I don't think I've actually led a project that failed. Reasons my project always succeed is because I put people in the center, I sacrifice for them, and so because of that, they are happy to go to war for me. Now, going back to the pivoting thing, you will find that certain times in your career, you need to be able to be ready to leave what you are doing and move on to the next thing because that industry is going to die. I'll give you an example. So I worked for a company in Nigeria called V-Mobile. So V-Mobile is what is now Airtel. Back then, it was called V-Mobile when I joined. Then it was Celtel when I left. When I left Nigeria, I was headhunted by a company in South Africa in 2008. I had offers from all over the world, in America, Europe, all sorts. This particular opportunity was the one I chose eventually, for reasons I don't have time to talk about right now. But it was like instruction, and I followed it, and it became a very, very important aspect of the way my life turned out. So now here I am in Southern Africa, because then I had to go and then work for MTN in a country called Eswatini, used to be called Swaziland, as an expatriate. I was 27, going on 28, about to get married, life changed, But imagine at that time, you get to a country, you have a service apartment waiting for you, a car, official car waiting, everything. They pay for my petrol. I was paid in a lot of dollars. So life changed. But, grounded in Christ, nothing changed about that with me. 3 months later, I was married. My wife joined me. But I then remembered that at a point around 2000, I told my wife, I said, this particular job I'm doing, I'm the only person that can do it in this country. The country I was then, I was the only person in the country. When I left Nigeria, there were not many also. And most of the people that were even doing the same thing, they also had gone to America and other places. But in the country I was right then, I was the only person doing that job. I told my wife, I said, this role is going to not be important in 2 years' time. She was like, oh, okay, why? And I explained to her that the Indians have started seeing this thing. And once Indians get into something, there will be many of them, and then the price will go down. And so, and I was spot on.
God is looking at you on street.
Okay, good. There was an intervention, somebody just talking then. Okay, all right. So I was able to read this place. It's part of the sensing skills. And it's part also, as I said, the Holy Spirit also telling you things. So I said, okay, this thing is not going to go on forever. So we need to prepare for what is next. And that was what I did. Ask God, what is the next thing I should do? And I got certain instructions. Sorry, I don't know if the admin can mute. Yeah, cool. So, and I got instruction to say, this is your next move. This is what you should work towards. And then I started, studying certifications in like business kind of, because I was still mostly technical and some product knowledge back then, but I knew how to go into like some sort of management and product management, project management. So I started reading a lot about those things and doing these certifications. There's a certification called the PMP, which I did 14 years ago, and other things. Did Prince 2 certifications, read a lot of books, and then also started thinking, okay, maybe in future I'll do an MBA, blah, blah, blah. So I started plotting it because I knew that was going to happen. Guess what? By 2010, this particular kind of job I'm talking about, people started getting offered like 1/3 of what they were offering us about maybe 4 years ago. And I was very spot on. I had somebody that I knew was very good in this particular thing that eventually he couldn't move on in his career because he stuck to it. He don't want to change. So very key. And I will beg you to please think about it. So I've talked about foundational skills, so I won't talk more about it again. And then they continue to renew our competitive advantage without staying on one course forever. What do I mean by that? So you can be great at something. Everybody knows that, this is the best doctor, this is the best this is the best that. Don't rest on it. You keep looking for how to even strengthen that competitive advantage. go for more courses, be better, write more, do more, talk more about it, study more. You'll be shocked that as you get more competitive advantage in that field, you become even more critical to other things. And then the entrepreneurial mindset. So you might be the best at your work or whatever, but please have what you call an entrepreneurial mindset. The Yoruba people will say, Ogata Ogauta, Huwala Rakbe. That is a very bad mentality for anyone. You must have this sense of ownership that this is my job. This is what I do. I must be seen as being the best at this thing. So be very careful. Don't say, oh, it's not my responsibility. Oh, that's not my job. No, that I can't touch that. No. People are watching, they are saying, do what they call the hard things, things that other people will say is difficult for them. That's what you should be doing because that's what actually stands you apart. Now, highly experienced with superior leadership skills. Leadership, you cannot make it in life, business, in career, if you don't have superior leadership skills. And leadership skills it's not about management. It's not about shouting on people. It's about having the capability, the integrity to lead other people and for people to believe in you. Also, learn every time. I've talked about that. I won't talk about it again. But be a design thinker. A design thinking is something I can speak for hours. A design thinker is somebody who sees the big picture. So you are not just saying, oh, this is the problem, and you walk away. So design thinking and systems thinking, they are very linked together. But I don't have time to talk about that today. Social capital. Let people be somebody people will respect. Don't be those kind of people that everybody just run away from when they see them. It's coming. No. Have social capital. Let people speak to you when you are not in the room. That is when you need people to speak for you. When you are not in the room, you say, oh, that person, if they say they will do something, you see they will do it. Be that person that people can trust. And then the concept of superior cognitive capabilities, I've mentioned it a bit. Systems thinking, decision making, very, very important. In your business, in your career, there are people who run businesses who are not entrepreneurial. They're just running business as it's just something that I'm selling something. No, entrepreneurship is something you can use both in the workplace and in your business. It's about taking ownership. It's about wanting to be the best and wanting to just always excel, which leads me to the next thing. All these things that I'm talking about, what I've realized is that the more I know God, the more I'm in love with Christ, the more I get myself into that kind of mindset, the better I become. I want to talk about trust. So this particular part of the Bible, I've read it many times, but one day it struck me that this is actually something that is really, really important. So what was happening here, for those who know the story, imagine that that was when they were building the temple. I think was the day of King Josiah, if I remember. And they said, go to the high priest that he may count the money which has been brought into the house of the Lord, which the doorkeepers have gathered from the people, and let them deliver it to the hand of those doing the work, who are the overseers in the house of the Lord. Let them give it to those who are in the house of the Lord doing the work, to repair the damages of the house, to carpenters and builders and masons, and to buy timber and hewn stone to repair the house. However, this is where I'm going. Please, ladies and gentlemen, please listen to this. It says, however, there need be no accounting made with them of the money delivered into their hand because they deal faithfully. The day God revealed this to me, even in a very wonderful way, my life changed totally. Why? There are many people who cannot be trusted today. If they give you opportunities, everybody is afraid you will either steal money or you will not do it properly. But imagine that they're saying this people, if you give them the money, don't bother to do any accounting, don't bother to watch them because they deal faithfully. Are you this person? I remember when I was back in that country, I said I was an expatriate in the first time I left Nigeria. I remember that they paid for my petrol. So if I am going anywhere, I fill my car, they pay for it. But there are times I want to go to another country, drive from that country to South Africa or to another place, or even if I'm just taking my family to lunch or whatever, I actually write those trips down and I don't allow them to pay for it. So one day, my boss there calls me and said, why don't you allow us to pay for those trips that you do, blah, blah, blah. And I told him, I said, this is an official car. It's if I use it for something else, the least I can do is to pay for the petrol. And that till today, that man, we are still friends. He trusts me. Like this man is now the CEO of MTN in that country. But we've had relationship now for about 14 years. If I tell him I need something, he's going to jump up because of the integrity. And that's something I've done every time. If I work in a place, I remember I used to work in a company where people did overtime and they lie about overtime. They will say they did 80 hours overtime and they get paid a lot of money. And one day my boss calls me and say, why don't you submit to overtime? I said, one, if I'm doing so much overtime, it means that I don't know my job. Because that means if I know my job, I'll be able to do it in the time that is allocated, right? But the time I do overtime, it doesn't scrutinize my stuff. It will just say approved. And he told me, he said, that's why I don't scrutinize anything. If you say this is it, the trust. It's the same way about the quality of your work. Are you doing it for God? Because I see that people don't do things for God. They think that when they're in the workplace or you're a lecturer, that they are doing it for themselves. No, you are an ambassador for God, for Christ in the workplace, in school, wherever you are, in church. People are looking at you and they want to see Jesus. So for me, why I cannot submit bad work is that I want people to say, this guy actually it produces the best quality. So for me, integrity is not just about the fact that I will not steal other people's money or submit a wrong invoice or find myself in corruption, but also in the quality of the work I do. I ensure that when people talk about Christianity in a bad way, I'm not one of those people that they will say is part of those people. So please, I want to beg you, people remember these things. When opportunities come, they remember this is a person that is of high quality, integrity-wise, and quality of work. So think about this properly. Are you that person? Okay. Also, when it comes to faithfulness and productivity, it's big for me. The parable of talent, we don't have time to go through it. But if you remember, the quality, the parable of the talent is a very important one because those people who are given one talent, eventually they lose it. But people who are like 5 talents, 10 talents, 20, they are the ones who keep getting the more. So the better you become, the more people will ask of you. People notice this and say, if you give him something to do now, he won't do it. So they don't call you the next time. And these are people that are saying, I like when Dr. Odon was talking about, that you have time. You just don't know that you have time. How do I do it? Like today, I work for a global company, and it's a 9 to 5, right? But I also lecture part-time. I'm also involved in many, like I advise many companies. I co-founded a company at a point in my life where I actually ran that company for 3 years out of corporate employment before I went back to corporate again. But that company is still running and I still have shares there, right? And I have shares in others like that. I do so many things. I'm also active in church. I do all sorts of interesting things all around. How do I have time? Today, I don't need to have a doctorate degree my career, but I want to have it because I love the theory I'm working on. I love the work I'm doing. The knowledge is going to bring globally, not just in Africa. And that's why I'm doing it. And I know for the future it will also be something great, right? But for my career, I don't really need a PhD to move on in my career. No, but I'm doing it. But I'm finding excellence in all of these things together. I'm a family man. I've got 2 kids, 13 and 10. I have a wife that I dote upon. You can't say I'm a bad father. I just dropped my first daughter in a school activity that she's doing. She's playing a game somewhere. That is me. I want to touch all those things and be excellent in them. Who are you? When people see you do something, do they remember that you're a great person whilst you're in school or outside of school? That's how you get promoted. That's how people see you. Now, I'm not going to go through all this. These are more tips on moving ahead. I'm going to share this presentation with the organizers, and I'm very happy for them to share it with people. I'll actually send it to them. But I want you to always think about certain things. I'm not going to go. I will just run through it. One, please keep promises that you make. If you say you're going to do something, do it. And that's how I live. If I say I will do something, I will do it. If I say I'll show up, I'll show up. I don't like being the person where they say, people actually remember. Say, that one, don't even, show up. If you say you do something, show up. Show up. Let people see you. Stop complaining. People love to moan. Oh, this is bad. I'm busy. I can't do this. I can't do that. Blah, 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 blah. When you moan so much, there's somebody I know who he's always complaining. I can't call him about opportunities because He's always complaining. So do I want to kill him? Be careful about money, because as you keep doing that, what you do is that people will then start running away from you to say, oh, because he's always complaining. So be careful. People are keeping scores. Okay, respect. I respect people. People are junior to me. People are senior to me. People on my level. Whatever. I don't care. I respect people. If I see people, sometimes you send somebody a meeting request, they will just reject it without any reason. That's not the way to do things. Leadership potential. You cannot get promotion without. So if you are very good at what you do, you shouldn't get promoted. That's, you know, your job. But if there's a rate that they see that you can now make 5 other people do their job better, that's when you get promoted. So develop your leadership potential. There are many ways to develop leadership potentials. Read good books, get mentored, be a good person. Be the fruit of the Spirit is the foundation of being a good leader. If you have fruit of the Spirit, if you know Jesus, you will be a good leader. So do that. Now, complexity, I've talked about that. Innovation, when you promise something, deliver it. Under promise, over deliver. Integrity, let people see that you are a person of integrity. Continuous improvement. Don't rest on your horse. Always make sure that every time you are always, continually improving yourself. And that is the last thing I want to talk about now. I know that we could go on forever, but very happy to have planted a seed today. I hope you will continue to build on this, and I'm happy to also interact even outside of this place. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that enlightening session. Okay, so I would just quickly go through everything he said in a few minutes. Okay, so we have the Industrial Revolution, which we're in the 4th revolution, and it's talking about the cyber-physical system. And he said that we are in the VUCA world. The VUCA world saying that V for vitality, that whatever it is that we see now, we might not see tomorrow. And we're in a world of uncertainty, that a lot of things are very, very uncertain, but the advantage we have is the Holy Ghost, knowing the things to do at the particular time. And he said we're in a complexity where that everything that we do is complex, and we just have to compute strategies that are smaller, and in a world of ambiguity. Then we have the dynamic capabilities, which are the entrepreneur mindset, the sensing, the seizing and transforming capabilities, where that you have to sense everything that you need to do. Like the areas where you need to go, the things you need to do around the world, you have to quickly identify opportunities. That's the sensing capabilities. And you have to understand the advantages of co-creation capabilities and making sense out of, it says something about making sense out of complex things, including data, trying to figure out the things to do, even in the complex areas. And the seizing capabilities, he said you have to seize opportunities. You have to possess a lot of skills. And then we have the transformation capabilities. Is that something how to transform yourself to where you need to be? Whatever you want to be, whatever it is that you want to see yourself in 3 years to come, you need to do the things that would get you there. That's transformation capabilities. You have to be flexible and always ready to learn new skills. Don't be one way. Don't say that, so he said something about when you find out, he said, be ready to leave whatever it is that you are doing to move to the next level. When you find out that this thing that you are doing will not be so important in few years to come, you need to leave it. And an advantage that we have is the Holy Ghost, which is able to tell you the things you need to do next. Okay, so then we have the entrepreneur mindset. You have to do the hard things. You don't have to run away from the hard things, and you have to be highly experienced in leadership skills. And that skills is the efficiency to lead others. And you have to be social. You have to have social capital. You have to have social capital, and you have to have these entrepreneurship skills. And then you need to identify the differences between risk and uncertainty. Be ready to learn, be flexible, agile, and be a design thinker. And then he was talking about the stuff backed up by the Bible, by the scriptures, and he talked about trust. Can people trust you with responsibilities without checking back? Are you faithful? Are you showing integrity, doing the things, and that whatever it is that you do, we feel like God is not watching, or we feel like you're just doing these things without. But the thing is that whatever it is that we're doing, we should be conscious that we're doing it for God. We're an ambassador of God even in the marketplace, that people should see Jesus in whatever we are doing. Productivity and faithfulness go hand in hand, and we need to get excellent. It was mentioning a lot of things about him. His business, his career, his family, everything. You have to get excellence in everything that you do. And you mentioned a few things even before we rounded up. Keeping promises that you make. You have to keep up with promises that you make. Show up and stop complaining. Be careful about money. Respect people, whether junior or senior. Be a good person. Have the fruit of the Spirit and also have integrity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone that clapped well. Now you can do another round of applause for the speaker. You're not clapping well. Thank you so much, sir, for that amazing session. We truly learned a lot. It's time for questions and answers. So you know how we do it. If you have questions, you raise your hand or you write your questions in the paper.
And please let us be reminded, those online, please, if you are with us, write your questions in the comment section. And if possible, you can voice it out also. You can raise up your hand. Do you have questions? Okay, 1, 2. Let me start from.
Okay, please, before you ask a question, just tell us your name and what you do.
Okay, I'm Orem Timtayo. I'm an accounting student of Obafemi Awolowo University, Part 4. But I'm into travels and tour called CWI. I want to say a very big thank you to Mr. Ayobami Oladejo. And then my question is, I noticed that in in everything you've been saying, you did not neglect the God factor, which is very, very important. So my question is, how were you able to combine every of the activities, your work, your family, knowing that you are a tech guy? I have some friends that they do this tech thing, and I know how time consuming they are. So how were you able to combine the church activities? Like, what advice are you giving to we, the young, coming up? How should we combine the church activities together with our careers and still have a successful life? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Niyoyeleke is my name. Thank you for that presentation. You presented not only from theoretical perspective, but using practical illustrations. That actually, drive the points home. And one of the high points of what you said, maybe as a student of curriculum and as a graduate of curriculum studies, rejigging university education, having a time for presentation skills, thinking skills. As a matter of fact, somebody defined university as a place where critical thinking is developed. I want to say that this conversation should continue. Thank God it's a guidance of intellectuals. But my question is this: what are the obstacles, roadblocks you have encountered on the way, and how you are able to surmount them?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. There's another person there.
Okay.
There's a lady at the back.
All right.
I'm Elizabeth Okoko from Department of Urban and Regional Planning, Obafemi Awolowo University. So my question is, like the speaker said, and I've heard like other speakers from other places say too, there is always this need to switch careers. So I know it's not something that can be explained outrightly because it like varies between fields. So, but like, are there maybe particular tips or things to look out for that you can say? Maybe things to indicate that your particular line of career may need to go out of need soon. So like, are there things to look out for that could help you make that switch from careers? Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for the questions. Mr. Ayobami, I think we can take answers now. Pending the time, we have more questions. I think he's
yeah, I can unmute myself now. Good. Yeah, thank you. I think a very good question. So I'll start with the first one about how I'm able to combine everything and still have time for God. So I want to say that the first thing you actually must have time for is for God. Other things actually build on it. And I'm not trying to make you happy or say, oh, it's very spiritual. No. Yeah, so a bit of a background about me. So I grew up in a Muslim family, right? Gave my life to Christ first year in university in 1997. You know, I can talk about that for 3 hours. The conversion experience, it's something that looks like what happened to Saul, became Paul. So I'm that guy that knows that if not for God, whatever I've done in my life today, would not have happened. So I'm very particular about that part of my life being the first thing. Every other thing then bows to it. And I will explain why that has to happen. So many times when I turn in a particular piece of work, and this started from when the first job I've ever had in my life, people always praise it. And what I realized is that I didn't need to spend maybe 5 days to do certain things. My one day that I put, God has a way of breathing into it that makes it then looks excellent. Like people will say, how did you do it? And many people that I know always like, how do you always, because they know that I do a lot of things and that I try to show up with excellence. But it's not me. It's that there is a spirit in man, the Spirit of the Almighty gives that breathes into these things. Because if you always think that is because you are good or you are great, you have the best degrees or whatever, you're already in trouble. So because I knew that right from day one, and the times that I've tried to help myself, those are the times I failed a lot. In university, wow, I failed a lot until I started realizing that I actually need to depend on God for everything. And then I realized, this life is actually more straightforward than I thought. So because I know that, I make sure that every other thing actually, in fact, even in choosing a wife and all those kind of things, I tell people, I said, if you are not already born again, and I'm not talking about born again by mouth, then your marriage is going to be trouble. Because the person you are marrying, if you don't love God, you can't love the person you are marrying. So even success in marriage, and my wife knows that I love her very much. In fact, people who know me, they know that I love my wife very much. But it's because I loved God first. So in everything I've done, when I realized, I think that realization came to me like sometimes as I was about to finish university, I realized that much more. To say, if I can just lean on God, then somehow every other thing then becomes more excellent. And so that's why everything I try to do, once I say, God, this is it, it shows up with the Holy Spirit to say, when other people are running around, just say, okay, no, just do this way, touch this particular topic, write it this way. We work together. So and that has helped. So my 24 hours maybe might look like other people's 72 hours, but it's because of that trust in God. So that's what I would like to say and encourage everyone that it actually works. It's tested principle. Even if you look at someone like me, if you are looking at my face, for people who actually see me physically, they say, oh, you look like you're 30 or 25, but I'm actually going to be 42 next month. How? If with all the things I do, which maybe some people will be very stressed and everything, again, God. So that's my answer to you. Don't always try to do things on your own with your own strength. God doesn't like that. God doesn't like being helped. What God wants you to do is to make everything bow to Him in your life. And once you do that, you find that things come to you. And also have that positive mindset, because some people, they're already stressed even before they get stressed. Oh, this is stressful. This is bad. They're already shaking. Positive mindedness, trust in God, and just get into it. So I don't know if that answers the first question. I'll move on to the next question. So next question talks about the roadblocks on the way and how I summon them. So my understanding about life is that you can never, in fact, Jesus did not promise us that everything is just going to be beautiful, everything is going to be fine every day. Yes, we've got that trust in God that He's not going to give us temptation above what He has already planted into us, right? So that's the way I approach life. That every time that I face any kind of roadblocks, I see it as the next wave of promotion happening to me, and that has been the way I've done life. I'll give you a very interesting example. So, I was working for a very, very top executive in a big company. I don't want to mention the name. A few years ago, and he actually like stole me from another company within their group. So there's a group company. So he stole me from like a country company of, so there is a company that has about 20 countries. So he said he needed me from one of the countries where I was working. So he dragged me to come and work with him. And beautiful opportunity. I was reporting to, C-level in that kind of company, big company. So it was big. It was good opportunity. And I was traveling around, enjoying my work. And one day, he told me, he said, because back then I was not working as like a full-time staff of their company. I was a contract. I was contracting, which I was what I really wanted to do. So he asked me, Sayo, we really need you to be permanent with us because we don't want to lose you, because a contractor can say tomorrow that they are leaving, blah, blah, blah. They want me to be permanent. So we're talking about it and all that. So that's how much he enjoys working with me. He was offering me a very top position in the organization and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, but God was not telling me to really go into that at that particular point in time. So, but I kept the conversation going. Then COVID happened, and the project I was working on, there was a big program which made me to actually travel around a bit out of South Africa to other places. So he said, okay, this program, we have to stop it because of COVID, because I couldn't travel, I couldn't do anything. But he said there is another program that I needed to start working on. And he specifically told me, Zayo, I don't want you to look for another job. I don't want you to go to another place. Please, he begged me. Actually, I'm talking about this person that his calendar is so full. He took time to set up a meeting to beg me to say, you must not look for a job. So I said, okay. And I didn't look for a job. But my contract was up for renewal because it was a 12-month contract. The next month, the contract was going to be up for renewal. And then this man ghosted me. Ghosted meaning that he didn't respond to my messages asking him, okay, let's do this contract renewal thing, blah, blah, blah. It was later I found out that the organization had then said, because of COVID and the uncertainties, that they don't want to renew contracts and everything. But he could have called me to say this is what is going on, because I didn't stop looking for a job. So he did a very bad thing to me. But I asked God, I said, what's going on? And God said, this is bad, right? But you will see why this is to be so a few years' time. So I was not bitter towards him or anything. I said, no, it's fine. It's okay. So funny thing was that a week after that, I got another offer in another place. And that offer was to lead a big consulting exercise for maybe the biggest company in Nigeria. I won't mention their name. And I went and did that, and I succeeded so much that the work I'm doing today is linked to that particular 6-month program that I led, which today, what I'm doing now, that job, it's like I didn't interview for the job I'm doing now. It's based on all those things that I did, that I could say, okay, I did. But if my boss then didn't do what he did, I won't be where I am today, enjoying what I'm doing and having learned a lot and all that. So that's the way I look at challenges. That I'm not going to say because somebody did bad is something bad to me, or if I made a mistake, that's the end of my life. No. I try to look at the lesson in it. If I'm at fault and the Holy Spirit tells me you need to do better in this way, I've seen situations when I was growing up where relatives looked down on us as a family and myself. I was not bitter. I only used that as an opportunity to become somebody that, people can also look at and be inspired, about their life. So that's how I look at those things. I won't slow down. Once something like that happens, I pick myself up and I'm moving on. Not blaming other people and say, okay, if they didn't do this to me, maybe I would have been here, blah, blah, blah. No, I want eventually for God to be glorified. In fact, when those kind of things happen to me, it's another way God wants to show up and show off and say, if not for me, so that man cannot say, if not for us. So that's the way I look at those things. Then the further question, asked by the lady was about tips on switching careers. So my understanding is this, that if you want to switch careers, first of all, you need to understand that in today's world, there are very few courses where you finish and do what you are taught in school. So I remember when we finished university, most of the guys that studied engineering ended up in banks. I don't know if you guys know. Around 2001, 2002, 3, most people just find themselves in banks. Why? They didn't study banking and finance. They didn't study accounting, So that actually made me start thinking that it's really not about what you studied. Like if you studied medicine, everybody will expect that they'll find you in an hospital, right? But today, I have friends who study medicine, who are software developers, data scientists, and all sorts of things today. How do they switch? Even for myself, I studied mathematics, but I've done all sorts of things that are not related to mathematics. But my mathematics background always helps because of the analytical thinking skills that you can get if you really want to. Because some people don't want to also, remember that they did anything good in whatever they studied. So if you studied urban regional planning, for instance, there's a lot of things that you can gain from there that can make you to switch careers to other places and still use some of the knowledge you gained in the courses in school. People always think everything is a waste. No, you will one day find that, because of your urban and regional planning understanding, you can actually do things maybe better than most people. So it's about, first of all, finding out what skills you need for that next level of work. So if you are coming for, let's say you want to become a data scientist or data analyst, talk to people who are doing that and say, what skills do you need? And you find out you don't need a degree in data science. No, they will tell you what courses you need to do, what skills you need to learn. It's about the time that you can put to it. So find out from people what are the skills you need, and then find out where you can learn them. The world now learns online. So there is Udemy, Udacity, all those places that you can learn all sorts of things. So that's why I would say be just find out what kind of things you want to do, and that's it. And last question on the chat talks about it said, how do you feel about people, especially Christians, who say you have to be diplomatic in things, as it is known that diplomatic and integrity are two different things? How do you keep up being a good man of integrity in this world where everybody wants to be lied to? Okay, so as I said, for me, it's not even about trying to pretend who you are not. So if you really want to show up for Christ, people will know who you are. And once people know your stand on certain things, they don't come to you. I think the problem is that we try to be diplomatic about who we are. So when people start talking nonsense about girls, maybe in the office, or about money, about all sorts of things that are not moral, we join them so that we can be seen as cool, right? And so that's why they then can loop you in with other things tomorrow. But the way you should be as a Christian is that from day one, people know what your values and what they are. You'll find out that they will exclude you from certain things. I remember when some of my friends started smoking cigarettes, then I realized they stopped wanting me to hang out with them because they know I won't smoke, and maybe I would even preach against it. So then I had to look for other friends. Okay, the same thing in the office. What I will always find is that if people see that this is your stand, they will most likely not discuss those kind of things with you. They will not also involve you in things that will destroy your faith. So that's what I would say. Stick to it. Always be consistent, and you'll find that people won't be able to drag you into things that are not biblical. Thank you very much.
Praise God. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Ayobami, for answering our questions. So can we all together chorus, thank you, sir. We appreciate you. Are you hungry? No, I'm not saying you should ask him. Are you hungry? Okay. Can we shout again, thank you, sir. We appreciate you. God bless. God bless you. Okay, so right about now, we'll be going on a 10-minute break. I'm sure you've been waiting for that. Your break is here. So we'll be going on a short break now. You can get up from your seat, you can stretch your legs, you can talk to a friend, and take maybe a bottle of water. Yes, the break is for refreshment. Enjoy your break. We'll be coming back by 1:28. I think it's 1:18 now. So we'll come back by 1:28 p.m.
All right, and the break is just actually a break, so please still hang around. The main menu comes up after the event, so just go out. It's just a short break for refreshment. So thank you very much. Yeah,
So please, you can go out for your break. This is just refreshment. The main menu will be served immediately after the program, where you have the main dish, okay? So we have 10 minutes for this break, just 10 minutes. Then you come back.
Hallelujah. Please, if you are the owner of a black Pathfinder Jeep, kindly go outside to move it so that the church bus will be able to move. Thank you. A Jeep Pathfinder is blocking the church bus and the church bus wants to move out now. Thank you. Please, if you are outside, come into the church auditorium so that we can continue the program. If you are outside and you are hearing me, please come into the church auditorium so that we can continue the program. All right, let's be seated on time. We don't want to waste time so that we can finish the program as scheduled. The next item on the program is the panel session. And we are going to be looking at harnessing the potentials and prospects of the emerging digital and technological economy. We have the panelists in the house already. We have Michael Ogunde and Femi Carpenter. We also have our moderator very much in the house, and that's Barrister Tijesu Awotoye and Shadrach. So I want to invite those that will be handling the panel session, Michael Ogunde and Femi Carpenter, to please come up as we are taking the panel session on harnessing the potentials and prospects of the emerging digital and technological economy. For those online, we want to thank you for staying tuned to Cedarland. We don't want you to be distracted, so keep focused.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome back from the short break. I hope we are refreshed. It's time for the panel session. And today's, the topic for our panel session is harnessing the potentials and prospects of the emerging digital and technological economy. It feels like, you're thinking of the topic and you already have a headache. but then we're here, that's why we're here to discuss. That's why we're here to interact. So we trust that we have our guest panelists here with us. We have, on my right side, we have Mr. Femi Carpenter. We're happy to have you. And on my left side, we have Mr. Michael Ogunde. Please, a round of applause for our panelists. So sit back and enjoy this panel session. I think I would ask Mr. Femi first. Should I say Femi? Yes. Okay. So I'll ask Femi first. The topic we have here is harnessing the potentials and prospects of the emerging digital and technological economy. So, there's a reason why you were brought here as a panelist, and that's because, and there's a reason why you were given this topic, right? So, it means that you have something to do with digital and technological economy. It's your line of career. It's been your line of practice as well. So, can you just, share with us how your experience has been, how it has been like, transitioning into the digital world, how the experience has been like, what are the perks to it, your growth.
Well, thank you so much, TJ. And I want to thank the church for having me. I literally just grew up in the church at some point. In fact, I started my tech journey maybe a year or 2 years after I joined Cedar. So everybody knows. I have my big uncles and my daddies in the Lord here. everyone knows, I came in as a law student. And then I think after a year, I had a setback. I think this is the first time I'm publicly talking about it. I had a setback that warranted me to want to reapply as a law student, which, of course, I did. But in that time frame, I had to sit back and I ask myself, is this really what I want to do? I've always been a very curious person, even as a kid. So I said, no, I need to reset my life. Law was a convenient option for me because everyone felt I had a lot of potential. And if you could speak very well and you could argue potentially, people say that you should be a lawyer. So when that incident happened, I saw it as God's way of reinventing me. So I reapplied as a law student, but with a different mindset, not to be just a student and be restricted to the academia. And that's the problem I think I want to first address. That was the beginning of the time I started seeing hand perspective. When I say hand, I mean A-N-D. A lot of us, we go with or perspective or but perspective, this or that. This, but that. So I realized that my perspective changed to the and perspective, this and that. So there was no, you can be a student or an entrepreneur, a student or a business person. No, it can be a student and anything else that I want to be. So then the first and I added to it was tech. So I was a student, I was also a tech enthusiast. So then I started learning, but it's a lot of, the reason why I'm here is because I want to share practical knowledge of how everything went through. Then I had only one shot at school. My dad was only going to send me to school once, not twice. And I was lucky enough to be one of the children he would send to the university. So at that point, when I had to reapply, he was not ready for it to spend another reapplication money. So I was on my own. So how could I learn tech? And then, I didn't have any money, and then sponsor myself to school. So I knew I only had one option. So immediately I got to part 2, it stopped sponsoring me. So I had to start doing CV writing. I started honing my skill. That was my first skill, how to write. So I started doing CV writing for people. So I write CV for you, and I collect money from you. So I did that a lot. And thank God for my guardian, Dr. Miss Popola. She would refer me to some lecturers, you write their CV and stuff too. I'll still collect money from them, and some of my colleagues too. So I started bankrolling myself then. But I didn't have money to learn tech. So this was what I was doing. So there was this platform, before it became popular, EDX. So I'll go to EDX. Now EDX had this model. You will learn for free, but they will give you a certificate for $5. I remember dollar was 250 naira then, so it was 2,500 naira. I didn't have the 2,500 to get certificate. So I would do all the courses, but I will not collect certificate. I'll go and do the free courses on copywriting, on Facebook marketing. I was coming like on SEO. I didn't mind that. To me, certification has never been the problem. Once I have the knowledge, don't worry about certificate. So I learned all of those stuff to grow my competence in tech, but I was never going to get certificate. I knew that. So the first certificate I got was Google certificate. Google will give you a free certificate, but their courses, to me, were not encompassing enough and extensive enough. So I'll go and do the extensive courses some other place. But I needed a certificate to start, at least to show people that I knew what so I had to go to Google and do all those free stuff and get the certification. So I was using Google certificate to apply for a job. Just Google alone then. But I would apply, I would not get a job. So what I did then was like, okay, let me take it one step higher. So I did a mini MBA. And if Daddy could remember at that time, and doctor, I said I had 60% of the money to do my MBA then. I'm still a student of Obafemi, but I did not have all the money complete. So I called Daddy. Sir, I want to do MBA. I got 2 admissions then. One at John Kennedy University in Oxford, business school, and then I got one of about, I think all the package were about $200. And I said, I only have about 60 or 70% of the money. So I called Daddy, and as God will have it, he gave me the last of it. So that was the second certification that I would get, which was the mini MBA. So it was that mini MBA. Now, it wasn't just a certificate, it was a total experience, the mini MBA that I did. So I started using the mini MBA, not my law degree, because there was no certificate from law at the time. I started applying for jobs. And in a day, I could send 50 applications, just in one day. But eventually, I got my first job in Nigeria. I was so happy. They promised heaven and earth, 60,000 naira salary, blah, blah, blah. I worked for 3 months, I did not collect 1 naira. But the experience was all I wanted. I knew that if I could add that I worked at so company on my CV, that's one step that I've taken. So I'll take another step afterwards, which I did, and as God will have it, then an Indian company came in. You know, when you hear that this guy is working for an Indian company, you think, at least he start making money. When I converted the money, it was 40,000 naira, 7,500 rupee at the time. It was 40,000 naira in Nigerian money. So I moved from 60,000 naira that they did not pay to 40,000 naira that I will be paying. Okay, that's also good. So I was using all this money to build my competency and, of course, sponsor myself through school and some other side gig that I was doing. And as God will have it. So the Cedar Academic Unit. Sorry, my details, Tim. I have to give you the details so that you understand I didn't just jump. So the Cedar Academic Unit, we're going to do a workshop for students. And then my guy at the time tasked me and a few other people to do a workbook. Of course, me being me, I knew that I had to give it my best. So I did a lot of research. It was during the research that my mind opened to the digital economy. Not just tech. There is a lot of difference between technology and a digital economy, even at the time. Oh, this is what the future will look like. Now, thank you. I got a lot exactly when I find new information. So I started comparing. I started working on the data. So I made a lot of bold predictions in that workbook. It never got published anyways. But then my mind was set for the digital economy, the world where competence and competencies will rule, the world where skills, core skills and transformational skills will rule the world where open talent ecosystem that you could work in Nigeria for several countries, in the globe without leaving your room. It became an ignition for me. I started building a lot of competencies, not for now, but for the future. And that was 2018, 2019. Then COVID happened. So what I thought would take 5 years, 6 years, God will have it, it took a year or less. COVID happened, and a lot of people started outsourcing, looking for independent contractor, and the open talent ecosystem now became a reality. And that was when I started my foray into the global digital economy that today I've worked for over 11 countries in 4 continents. Yeah, 4. America, Europe, and all of those places. That recently I got an application from a Fortune 500 company, and I didn't apply. They saw my CV on LinkedIn and everything. I think someone that a client that I recommended worked for in Canada also recommended me when they were looking for SEO expert. And so they just called me. Well, as everything will go, I just said, but the idea is that from a low place, God transitioned me into a point where I had an application from a Fortune 500 company. But it's never been easy, but that's how the journey started. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the insightful and lovely, I can tell. All right, so moving on to our second speaker. He also will be sharing his experience and how he transitioned, into the technological and digital economy. So over to you, sir.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having me. Right, how I transitioned is something very interesting. Right, I can remember that it has always been about what problem am I solving. That's just the truth. I was going to come into Ife as an architectural student. I did architecture, right? And for me, I just wanted to create a solution where there's this space that every architectural student can actually operate in and feel safe. So it was not just about building buildings, like all the drawings and all that stuff. But I was limited. That's the only thing I did in Ife, is to draw line, carry table, carry white paper, walk from EDM to Aki, back to all that stuff, right? So I began my journey. I started reading. I was one of those people that really didn't sleep at night, right? I wasn't reading Aki books. I was reading on software engineering, what's the biggest news, what's up, and all that stuff. I remember penetrating into Cedar. I came in as a graphics designer at the time, right? Where I'll go to Dr. Pope's. Funny how Dr. Pope is one of our biggest story, right? We go to his office, we're doing overnight at his space. We're using his Wi-Fi to download and all that stuff, right? But it's always been about the problem I'm solving part-time, right? Because I realized that one thing we do in Africa and in this space is we copy or we try to bring first world problems into third world solution. This is what I mean. You're creating Android apps where you have a problem of bad roads, you have a problem of how to make the next tailor remember what your measurement is, you have a problem of the unbanked, right? About 48% of Nigerians are still unbanked. They don't even have certificates. All your credentials that you can use to open a bank account, they don't have that. Some people don't even have BVN. It's that shocking. And these are primary problems. But the next thing we feel like we want to do is create a social app, like they do abroad, right? So, right now I created a company, right? I'm CTO of the roadside. What we do is it's an ERP solution for businesses, all your business process. Because we found out that even if you are starting a business, you don't really understand what you want to go and do in the business, right? Nobody is teaching you about business in the university. Free fact. Right, so we harnessed that. I think I was also one of the people that predicted COVID, because I partnered with Passion Incubator at the time, right? And then I saw the trend. They were also speaking with future trends that concerns freelancing, as it were. So I was like, wait first. What if something happens in Nigeria and it disrupts the workspace? What are we going to do? So I called the Emmanuel Faith, right? I called a couple of other friends. Sheon Fakorede was supposed to be around also, but he missed the program and all that stuff. So we began conversing. And I realized that I just need to start what I needed to do. Right? I just needed to start my company. I just needed to start impacting lives in the sense that I'm actually teaching this is what you're supposed to do when you want to create from ideation to completion. Right? Because the only way you can actually thrive in this on earth is if you understand that the fundamentals of operating on earth is based on three factors. It's either you're selling power, you're selling knowledge, or you have resources. That's government, business, and education. Right? So understanding how all these things interplay, and the only way you can really make things easier or faster and more efficient is you going into tech and understanding how you can simplify these things. So that was my journey basically. It's always been about the problems, and like Mr. Akonimo also said, what problem really are you solving? Because that's just what tech is, right? That's what the tech economy is. You're just answering that question. Right, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for answering that question. So maybe you are here and you're like, okay, what are you even talking about? What is this tech about? We keep hearing, oh, I'm going into tech. And so some people would think, for instance, if somebody's on a laptop and then person is just typing and typing, person is just doing something, and you're like, are you a Yahoo guy? You know, you're just confused. And then it's like, no, I'm into tech. Tech. It's only Yahoo guys that do tech. But that's a falsehood. That is a lie. So we're here to like break down what is this tech about? What is digital and technological economy? So Femi, please. Okay.
Well, thank you again. I know there are a lot of buzzwords that we throw around when we talk about tech, online, digital stuff. But I happen to be a student of economics as well. So I'll just break it down. See, when they say digital economy, it's the same thing as the economy that we know. But now the now economy is now being suspended on the internet. All right? That just is the same economy, product and services, business models and all of that. All of these processes now is now being suspended. Now we have a lot of accelerated models all around. Today, some people are talking about Web3. When you realize all the buzzwords are throwing around, it's the same basic principle of product, services, process, and infrastructure. So I think that it would be useful to think of the digital economy as having three components, right? The supporting infrastructure or the infrastructure that you like. For example, a bank, right? They're going to send you use USSD. There's an infrastructure behind that responsiveness of USSD. You use mobile banking, there's an infrastructure behind it. So some guys will build it. Some stuff will be done behind the scenes. So that's the infrastructure part. But there is also the electronic business processes. Now I call it electronic because it is digital. Like I said, it's suspended on the internet. So you can say digital business processes, you can say internet business processes. Now just like with every business that you do, there are processes, right? And then you need to also encode these processes online. For example, now you want to submit an application for a CAC, all right? You used to go to the CAC office, but now you can do it online. Those are processes. You submit your application for stuff. So that's also part of the technological economy that we're talking about. And the last one that I would like to think is the electronic So the electronic commerce transaction, now that's where the goods and services commercialization comes in. Now I said someone is going to build infrastructure, but someone has to have the skill force to build it, right? So the person can, talk about the services, they market their services. So that's it. And the product, some of us, we know e-commerce very well. You can use Jumia, right? You want to use Jumia, right? And Jumia will send the product down. We call it e-commerce. That's also part of it, okay? So I think that it is useful. I'm not saying that's the best description. I say it is useful to think of digital economy in those three components. So you can now further break them down. What are you offering? Service, infrastructure, or commerce? So when you look at it, everything just falls pretty much on those three. I think, let me just leave it at that.
Before we move away from you, I would just love to clarify, is there any difference between the digital economy and the technological economy?
Technology is this. Technology is pretty much, another word you could probably use is innovation. If you used to sweep the floor with broom, right, and it takes you 10 minutes to do it, and you introduce another device, in fact, if the device is as crude as brush, right, but maybe the way the brush has been designed, you cannot sweep for 3 minutes. That is, you have saved yourself 7 minutes. And maybe when you sweep also, you spend less energy, right? So that's technology, all right? Anything that allows you to do something faster in a more efficient way, and then you reduce energy and cost. That's technology, just pretty much innovation. But the digital economy is powered by technology, right? And that's where our own economy, real economy, is suspended on the internet. All right, but the infrastructure is the technology, but the economy, right, is what we call digital economy. We call it digital because it's on the. Now there are a lot of principles, a lot of things that now take place in that. So that's just pretty much my own explanation.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I hope we are all learning. Please, can you look someone beside you and tell him that, yes, I'm learning? Yeah, thank you. All right, so we also love to hear from our second speaker what his view is and what really is this digital economy and technological economy.
Okay, thank you. So I totally agree with what Femi has said, right? I'll just break it down and try to make it really simple. There are events you do on a daily basis. We call those things essential commodities. Man must always eat. Man must always wear clothes. Man must live under a roof, right? Man must communicate. Man must, what else do? You need to transport yourself to somewhere else, right? Daily activities. Now, take all those activities and put them on the internet. That's just your digital economy. What technology does is to make it easier, faster, cheaper, and more efficient. Do you understand it? So the reason why you will have banks come up like Kuda, it will tell you bank of the free, pay less, transfer faster. So their USP, what they are conversing with you is we are making your transfers faster. Instead of going to this person's house to go and give this person money, just do it over the net. Do you understand it? It's that simple. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for answering that question. So I would like to ask you again, Michael. So what are the prospects of the digital economy in our present world and in Africa? You know, what are the prospects? What are the opportunities involved?
Wow, thank you. So this question is quite extensive, right? In that you can only quantify the answer to this question based off your knowledge of your industry, right? So I would like to use a popular Me Too business. What I term as Me Too business are businesses that somebody is doing that you can easily copy, right? Let's say fashion, for instance, right? The industry of fashion itself is so vast that you can't exhaust it. Every Saturday, somebody is doing Wambe. Right? People are wearing clothes. People are sewing clothes. So it's that extensive. People keep giving birth. Right? And the economy around giving birth alone, right, with respect to any product, is quite progressive. So you always need to change your clothes. If you give birth to a child, you need to buy that child clothes and all that stuff. So you see it's progressive at all times. Now, understand that basically, provided you're solving an essential problem,